Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Depends where you are and when you're watching it, I suppose. And good afternoon to you, Gonzo. How is one?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right. Now that the news has sunk in a little bit, what are you thinking about Pellegrini? Hasta la vista.
Yeah, it took too long. I was obviously delighted. I think what swung it yesterday, as you say, with a night to sleep on it. I think what happened yesterday was I do think the intention was to give him until Bournemouth, but I think they probably applied some context about Leicester's team yesterday, and I think for us to go down the way we did against a team that was the Leicester reserve team, I think probably hurried their decision, because I think we were set for a little bit more dithering on it anyway. But I mean, what can you say? It's very, very late. The alarm bells were there after the Oxford game, weren't they? Really? So maybe better late than never on a decision on that one. But he was never going to improve. He was never going to become the long term prospect for Pellegrini for the club. It was a project, an ambitious appointment in terms of his stature, ambitious in terms of the wages that the board were paying him. But it was, if you wanted to call it a project, the appointment of the project, it was a project which basically failed, and the managerial appointment didn't work out.
Yeah, I think they massively had their fingers burnt. I called it like this sort of almost like £100 million experiment in David Sullivan's eyes a little bit, and he's thought, right, not doing this again. I'm going back to type, which is British manager or Premier League proven manager at least, that can do it on the cheap, if you like. And he's going back to type, which we'll get onto in a second. As for Pellegrini, it's a funny old thing, really. You expected a lot of people to be delighted he's gone. You expected a lot of relief, but I don't think there is much because of what we're ready to discuss. I think the anger, if anything, has just gone up. I think it's almost like people are almost just fed up with Pellegrini, but now, because of who's coming in, I think it's just pissed people off a little bit more, almost. But as for Pellegrini going, he just wasn't good enough in the end, was he? I was happy last season. This season, he's just not done well enough and stuff. And don't know. There's not much really else to say except that I said to you yesterday, it was yesterday. I said he either doesn't fear the sack or he doesn't care about the sack anymore. When he was playing Carlos Sanchez, and obviously it was the latter. He just didn't care anymore. He'd almost given up a little bit. He was playing chicken with David Sullivan, and he's not the only manager to be playing chicken with David Sullivan, because David Moyes has been playing chicken with David Sullivan a little bit, and there's sort of a little bit of meat in the middle coming out today. Straight after Pellegrini's sacking, it was made very obvious that David Moyes is our number one choice and is likely to be the manager. Well, I don't know if he is the number one choice. I think let's not word it like that. We don't know. He could be their 10th choice for all we know. But that's who we're getting. What's your thoughts on this then? He's coming back.
There's many thoughts, Geo, and they're all sort of separate from one another. You got thoughts on David Moyes, you got thoughts on the appointment, on the situation between the two men. There's just so many thoughts buzzing around my head, to be fair. From an appointment point of view, I think it's the final rubber stamp, because actions speak louder than words, and we will see a press statement, whatever it may be, when Moyes gets appointed. It'll be a very, very interesting one, which they see constructed, because obviously they've got to balance the new press statement up against the one they issued when they released David Moyes about going in a different direction and all the rest of it. So I doubt we're not going to see a climb down on there. We're not going to see any honesty in the statement, which would possibly go some way to help in a little bit of honesty. So we won't see that. So actions speak louder than words. And what this is, the appointment of David Moyes, is the final rubber stamp that they don't really know what they're doing. It really is. They don't know what they're doing in terms of running a football club. We talked about the Pellegrini project being a failure. Yes, that has, the big projects thus far has been a failure with the transition from the stadium. we may well find actually if what they want to do is turn a profit, maybe that may well be successful. But I would even argue that even them flipping the club and turning a profit is possibly a failure, because I don't think we're very attractive anymore because of all the reasons that we've gone into in the past. But this really does smack of stale owners, stale people, lacking in any sort of idea. It reactionary again, and it almost like a hermit crab retreating into. I was going to say its shell, in someone else's shell. It's a hermit crab, isn't it? But they have just retreated back, reverted to type, gone for what they think they know. And it really is. They might as well have their hands up and say, look, we don't know what we're doing. We've tried to appoint these other managers. The truth of the matter is we tried the director of football. We don't really know what we're doing there. We didn't really know who we were appointing. Even Pellegrini, we didn't know who we were appointing. We'd sort of heard the name before and we thought he's good because he'd won something at Man City, didn't he? I think it's probably a bit like that. But now they're saying, right, okay, well, Moyes, you can't do wrong with Moyes, can you? A sort of Moyes, Allardyce, Alex McLeish, Steve Brucey. They could put them all together. You could sort of make one manager out of all of them if you some sort of clone. And I don't mean to be nasty to David Moyes, because I actually feel half sorry for him, actually, David Moyes, in many respects, because his little plan failed as well, which was to boost his reputation by spending 6 months with us and getting us away from the relegation zone last season, which he did, which hopefully would boost his reputation and get him another job. I bet he would have loved. He would have thought, David Moyes would have thought in his mind that he deserved to be given a job last time.
Yeah.
I bet after Sullivan didn't give him a job and basically said, I'm going with somebody else, I bet David Moyes probably looked at David Sullivan and thought, I wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire, mate. I bet he really wanted to carry his moral compass in dealing with David Sullivan. I bet David Moyes didn't ever want to see David Sullivan again. And the fact that he now has to deal with a boss he knows doesn't rate him or fancy him is a terrible climb down. I do actually feel for the man's. Well, you know what that does to your confidence. I don't know. So I feel everybody is everybody's second or third best. You said, is David Moyes their 10th best choice? Yeah, maybe he is. Is David Sullivan, David Gold, David Moyes is I'm telling you now, this would be the last club he wanted to be at, would be West Ham United, but because of the lack of opportunity, this is exactly where he finds himself. So the owners don't want Moyes don't want the owners, we don't want Moyes, no one wants one another. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, it's funny when you say it like that, isn't it? Because it's sort of like, that's how desperate Moyes is now. He's had no job offers, he's having to come back. I mean, what manager or what person wants to sort of get dismissed, then go back and accept their offer because the other guy wasn't good enough? I mean, it's not great, is it? I think there's two things here. I think you've got to separate David Moyes, the person, and the manager from the situation, because the situation is completely different. And that is, we are going back to a manager 18 months ago. We looked in the eye and said, sorry, mate, we're not who you want. You are not who we want. You are not who we need. You're not as good as we hoped or whatever. So thank you very much. Here's your big bonus. Shake hands. Off you go. Good luck. We're now having to go back to him and say, yeah, do you know, after all that, mate, turns out we were wrong. Do you want to come back? And it's just, what baffles me is we could see this a mile away. We sat on this channel, I don't know, a month ago, 6 weeks ago, and we said, oh, we'll dither along, win one, lose, draw, we'll go a little while until it comes to the end. And then we'll go get a British manager. We could all see it coming a mile away. We could all see it. But what is really baffling, and it's not surprising, but I find this the most embarrassing thing, is we've taken a month, 5-6 weeks, longer than that, because I remember going to Chelsea game, which was on at the end of November, so it's been more than a month now. We've been looking for another manager in the background, been sounding out options, and the best we can come up with is David Moyes followed by Chris Hughton. They've taken 6 weeks to figure out the only people that will work for them is either A, out of a job, or B, desperate, or a combination of A and B. And we've got a combination of A and B. That's what we've got. That's what they've come up with. All these wish lists and stuff, you can forget them. They would have had a wish list, and I would not be surprised if Sean Dyche was at the top of it. I would not be surprised if Eddie Howe was second, or maybe even first himself. But they've obviously gone to these managers or their agents and been told, nah, you're right. don't fancy it. Now, maybe they got told I'll come in this summer. They might have done. But then that's where the whole thing goes to a shambles a little bit, because we don't have that option anymore, because David Moyes is saying, no, I'm not taking a 6-month one now, mate. Sorry, you're desperate. I call the shots. First time I was desperate, I needed work. 6 months, I'll take it. I'll build my reputation up. Well, I've done that now. Now you're desperate. The tables are turned. You've mugged me off once, I'm going to mug you off now. I want an extra year on my contract. Now, at one point, we thought it was going to be 2.5. It sounds like it's a 1.5 year deal. The point is, Moyes has got an extra year on his deal and what the owners were prepared to give him, if you believe the rumours and stuff. So Moyes has already won up on the owners. And that's the situation we find ourselves in. They're already starting to point score before he's even in the door, which is something we know Sullivan does with the manager. And it's just that we've had to go back to him. Regardless of if it's David Moyes or Sam Allardyce or Slaven Bilic, I'd be saying the same thing. The fact is, we're having to go back to a manager we deem not good enough. And after 6 weeks, the best we could come up with on our short list was David Moyes, followed by Chris Hughton or punt time. And when I mean punt time, I mean Kevin Nolan or Enzo Maresca to step up. That was our third choice. Our third choice was our coach. But we are one of 20 teams in the Premier League. There's only 20 jobs available in the Premier League. Okay, the richest league in the world, football. There's only 20 jobs. They're quite prestigious. Half of them you can rule out straight away. You ain't getting that job. Man City, you ain't getting it unless you're world class. Liverpool, Klopp's there for good. You ain't getting that. Spurs, well, you're going to have to be world class. The Sheffield United job, it's not coming up for grabs anytime soon. Palace, no. Hodgson's comfortable. So you can already eliminate at least half the Premier League. That leaves just a small portion of Premier League clubs up for grabs. There's only a small amount of Premier League jobs available, and the point is, the best we could come up with is someone we said no thank you to 18 months ago. Now, that does not tell David Sullivan he's not a good football chairman and no one wants to work with him. I don't know what will. How can he ring up all these agents? He's been in football for what, 20 years or something? The amount of contacts David Sullivan will have is enormous. He will have all these contacts. You tell me he spent a month reaching out to all these people and the only one that come back was David Moyes. At some point, something's got a click in there that says, I'm not really good at this. Do you know who should be looking for the new manager? The director of football. But he can't, because he's been sacked because Manuel Pellegrini employed him. This is why the whole thing's backwards at West Ham. The guy that should have been searching for people for a month couldn't. We said this as soon as at a point. We said at some point, Huselos is going to have to pick his side. He's going to have to pick his employer or his mate. And he's going to pick his mate. He's going to remain loyal to Pellegrini. And this is what Sullivan, a month ago, Sullivan, with the right director of football, would be able to go to him and say, listen, mate, I need a word in your shell. The manager ain't cutting it. I need you to have a look around and see who's available. Find out who I can get in here. Go find, Niko Kovac. I bet Sullivan's never heard of him. But the point is, director of football could have turned around to Dave Sullivan and said, Niko Kovac is available. Worked with Sebastian Haller, the 45 million guy at Frankfurt. Got him firing. Plays a different formation. Plays good football. He joined Frankfurt in a relegation battle. Kept them up. 2 years later, won them the cup. That's who you want. Young guy, get him in. But we can't do that. Because as David Sullivan went to Mario Huselos, who he went and sacked in the first place, and said, listen, manager's not cutting it. Huselos is going to go, Manuel, by the way, chairman's not happy with you. The whole thing's just a shambles. I can't believe it. Over to you, Gonzo. I'm sure you got something else to say.
How can you tell? Just look at how unattractive we must be to other clubs, to other managers. And it goes the same for David Moyes, because we're both almost as unattractive as each other. We're neither's punching above their weight, are they? We're sort of perfectly suited. Watford have looked for managers twice already this season, not once have they thought we'll have that David Moyes over here. A lot of the other managers are probably looking on. We think of Rafa Benitez or this, that, the other. Dream on. No wonder Brendan Rodgers wanted to go to Leicester. They are in, you're talking about being attractive. If you're talking about going on the pool, Leicester City are a leggy, lovely looking woman with massive knockers, right? I mean, all the managers are looking, thinking, hello, I'll have a bit of that. As are Wolves. As are many of these clubs. Honestly, we're like a pig with lipstick on. It's fooling nobody. It is fooling nobody. To look at us, to look at our owners, to look at our setup, to look at our training ground, to look at our stadium, to look at everything that's going on. how on earth could we remotely expect to attract anybody? The only thing that goes for us is for a manager. Occasionally, we will pay a top wage. We paid Sam Allardyce at a point. Sam Allardyce was the 13th highest paid manager in the world when he was at West Ham. We basically went cheap with Slav, by the way. Bilic was not on top money or anything close to it. Obviously, Bilic went. Moyes was paid 10 grand a week, but a £2 million bonus. The cheapest of the cheap, the lowest paid manager. I mean, this is how ridiculous it is. We had the lowest paid manager in the Premier League. We then went, I think, in Pellegrini to something like the third or fourth highest paid manager in the Premier League, in the top 10 highest paid managers in the world. And now we go back to this. So they still have it. If they really could target somebody, then they could entice them over to pay the wages. But when you're doing, you're only going to get someone for the money, which is what we got with Pellegrini, because Pellegrini had already decided upon retirement. We're not enticing them with the calibre, as I say, of our facilities or anything like that. And you would look at any number of things. If you were a manager coming in, you would look at any number of things. And I'd imagine, not that I've ever been in a position or ever likely to be, but I'd imagine the club's relationship with the fans would be pretty high on the list if you're a manager. How am I going to get a tune out of these people? How am I going to connect with the fans? How disenfranchised? Sorry, Joe, I'm going to have to. I've just realised the plug's not switched on the.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Go get the plug.
It's all right. It's done. Sorry, okay. It was flashing at me. Sorry, it was plugged in. It wasn't
flashing at you. That's what the pig and lipstick in the club does at the end of the night. Quick! I need someone.
On it, mate. Me and the pig and lipstick, the last two people in a nightclub, made for each other. David Moyes of West Ham United. What was I saying before I was rudely interrupted?
You were just talking about like people who didn't come to West Ham and fans' stability with the club.
The fans. You've got to look at the fans, and if you were a prospective manager, you'd think that is just toxic. Look at how much the fans hate the owners. Look at the stadium. Look at everything. I don't think I'll bother. The one thing you could probably say about Moyes is not walking into this situation blind. He knows exactly what he's walking into, and for that I almost feel sorry for him. He knows we don't love him, but he's coming anyway. Again, he's got some whatsits on him. I tell you, he's got some balls on him to come in and try and take the job.
Good choice of a ginger crisp there.
He's got some. Yes, he has. He's got some whatsits on him. But it's. I really don't know. I really don't know what to say. This is a sad day, actually, Geo. A sad day.
The thing is, I think we can be attractive to managers. The problem is, I don't think we know who those managers are. That's the problem. I think they're sticking to British because it's the only ones they know. They don't have anyone in the club that we know of that can say there's this guy in the Bundesliga, there's this guy over in Liga 1 or Serie A that's doing really well that we could probably entice over, because we don't know who they are. We just don't know. That's where you need the director of football, and we've just sacked him today because he's Pellegrini's mate. It's just, the whole thing's a shambles. And do you know who leaves with Mario Huselos? Mario Huselos' son. That's one of our scouts, and if Pellegrini is one of our scouts, which I know you've told me about, and I think you're probably correct, that leaves us with 5 scouts. We've now only got 5 scouts. We've just lost half our recruitment team out the door. The whole thing's just a shambles. The thing with David Moyes, though, is now it's time to talk about David Moyes, the manager, I guess, rather than the situation. I was sort of okay with him coming on a short-term contract, because if we get relegated, I don't lay the whole blame at Pellegrini's door. I think if we were to get relegated, I'm sure that is where certain people will be pointing the blame, saying it's Pellegrini's fault. Well, Moyes is coming in where we're not in the relegation zone yet. We're just outside it, okay? We've got a good squad. I do think we've got a good squad to work with there. We've got good players. We've got £45 million players, £30 million players, £20 million players. Norwich don't have one of them. Well, they might do. They might have 1 or 2. But my point is, we have an advantage over everyone else around us in the league. We have a foundation. They don't have that same foundation. The problem is theirs dries quicker than ours. Ours took about 5 years to dry. Theirs is dried in a year and a half, and they're already on the second floor, and we're still working out how you connect the front door up. But I do think we've got a slight advantage. So we get relegated. Pellegrini takes some of the blame, sure. but I think the majority of the blame lies with the board, and I think a little bit, depending on the results in the football, of course, a little bit will obviously lie with David Moyes for not getting the best out of what he's got. They've got to dig deep in January and back David Moyes. My problem with the one thing that irks me with David Moyes, it's not necessarily football, though that's a thing I like. I am aware that halfway through the season, we're in a relegation battle, pretty football goes out the window a little bit and it becomes result based. I accept that. That's why I can accept David Moyes in a short term. The 1.5 year deal thing isn't ideal for me. I would have liked a 6 months one. I've been sat here, I've been a lot more positive about it if it was a 6 month one. But we go 6 months of seeing what we saw last time, which was not great football. I think too many people, well, not too many people, I think some people, I think it was better under David Moyes than what it was, because a lot of people say, well, he kept us up. Yeah, but he didn't win many games. He's got the second worst win ratio in our history of managers, and that's only helped by winning the last 2 games of the season, and we only won those because we played the likes of Everton, who the season was up. They were on the beach. We played Allardyce's Everton. The crowd were up for it. We were playing with freedom. We were safe from Elliot. It boosted his stats a little bit. His stats are not great, and that is with it boosted. But also the January transfer window under David Moyes, you have to go back to and say, look at who we signed, Jordan Hugo, but not just that, look at who we didn't sign. James Maddison, Dendoncker. These players, Moyes looked at them, nah, you're okay, or so we're led to believe anyway. The point is, those players, if we signed them then, I don't think we'd be this far down the table today. So he's actually indirectly helped contribute to where we are today, in my opinion. It's not Moyes' fault. I'm not saying it's his fault we're crap, but it's certainly his fault that we didn't go ahead and sign players like Dendoncker and Maddison. So when we come to the January transfer window, which is arguably one of the biggest transfer windows the board are going to have while they're at West Ham, I've got little faith that we've got stuff in place. We just sacked the director of football as well. So that's not Moyes' fault, but the point is we don't have what it is in place in order to bring in the players in January, and that concerns me a lot. I think Moyes will keep us up. I think he will. I think he'll keep us up. I think we'll switch to back 5, which arguably suits our personnel with a Diop, Pogba and Balbuena. You might have to question where Rice is going to play, because Moyes liked him at centre back, which then says what you're going to do in midfield. I think we've almost got too much flair players for Moyes. He's going to come along and look at Anderson, Fornals, Lanzini, Yarmolenko and think, about only 1, maybe 2 of these get into my team. He did well with Lanzini last time though, Moyes. He put Lanzini up beside Anatovich, and if he can put someone up beside Sebastian Haller again, I'm sure it'll be football. But the squad's, I don't think it's got the right. You speak about balance. I actually think Moyes will be looking at that, thinking even worse than you think. He's going to look at that and think, this has not got the right thing for a David Moyes squad here. This is not what I need. I need to do some serious work on this in January. I'm not as negative towards the appointment as many, but I can certainly understand the anger and frustration. I'm more angry about the situation, which is we are employing someone we dismissed 18 months ago. I'm more angry at that rather than the fact it's David Moyes himself. I'd be, like I said, I'd say the same for Bilic or Allardyce. I still find it quite embarrassing. What do you think about David Moyes, the manager, coming to join us? I know we're in the situation.
Well, just before we do, I want to just, I got a lot of respect for David Moyes, because I know we're talking about the man here as well. I think it really takes something to walk into a club like this and to know what you're walking into. So I think that shows really good, really solid character. And I think David Moyes is solid character, but without the arrogance of Sam Allardyce. So I like David. I like David.
The thing is, Gonzo, he's only coming because he's got no other options.
I know he's coming because he's got no other options, but I still think I still like the fact that I like what he's done. I don't want him to have a 6-month contract. Never mind, but I take what you're saying. But I do like the fact that he was able to say to David Sullivan, who wanted to give him a temporary one, and say, "No, sorry, mate, you've done this to me once before. You will give me a longer contract, because this will not be happening." I like that. I think it shows that at least, despite everything that's happened, he has some idea of his own self-worth, despite the fact that no one else really wanted him. I think it must be I don't go for this one that, like when footballers get depression and stuff like that, millionaires, and people say, "Oh, well, what you getting? Why would you even get depressed or anything like that if you've got all this money?" I don't go with that.
I agree.
I think anyone's susceptible to that. And I think I think he probably must have been quite down in the dumps quite a lot, David Moyes. So I like the fact that he, despite all of that, he's coming back for it. He's telling Sullivan what's what. I would imagine at that point he's probably made some demands about. It won't have just been his wages. He's not going to walk in there and just say, "These are my wages and those for 18 months." Oh, and by the way, don't worry about buying any players. If he's going in and making demands, he would have made demands on players as well. He's known he was likely to come in, or at least 50% to come in. They've known that for at least the last month. Yeah. So I hope he has his eye on players, and he knows what's needed, which then takes us to the manager. He comes in and I will be 100% behind him and 100% wanting him to succeed. I really will. Until that point comes where, because I want to be wrong. I don't want him to be useless. All right?
I think that's an important point. A lot of people are saying, well, it's not more you've got to support a manager. You can do two things. You can do both. You can voice your opinion and still support. But a lot of people seem to think you do one or the other. And that's what frustrates me more than anything, if anything.
No, you're absolutely right. No, I suspect he's not good enough. I suspect that the tactics are going to be... I've got my own suspicions.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that I'm wrong. I'm hopeful that he will be reinvigorated by his breakaway. I like the fact that he went out to Spain. I know he's not in between that representing us twice. I like that, the ability to go out and learn another language, and so there's lots of things to like, and I'm going to cling on to those for the moment. I really am. In terms of what I'm concerned, I hope he's looked at that and he sees what we've all seen, which is you need to get an athlete in that central midfield. I hope he's been watching West Ham for the last year thinking if I'd have stayed there, I would have got an athlete, they wouldn't be in this position. So I hope he has got a very, very clear idea. He's going to come in. He's already highlighted 2 or 3 players who are quick and strong and so on and so forth to play in the middle of that park for us.
Yeah.
It worries me. What worries me in the recruitment side, it's easy to throw the Jordan Hugo at him, and that's fine. You can throw that at him. What worried me was we were also linked with another player who we didn't sign, a central midfielder, time and time again. It worried the hell out of me. Remember it was?
No. Fellaini? I don't know.
Harry Arter. We were constantly linked with Harry Arter.
We're not going to get Harry Arter himself.
Sorry?
We won't get Arter himself, or are you just worried that we're going to go get...
No. The fact that he was highlighting Harry Arter at that point, and we were actively going after him. I was looking for, well, hold on, this is not the geezer we need in our central midfielder. And obviously, you can see that that Harry Arter's gone on to play for Real Madrid since then, of course, and I got it all wrong. But that worries me. I think we're in a situation now where you've got to get this right. You've got to get this right. And I've seen the link with Joe Allen today. This is not what needs to happen. He's got to get the recruitment right. The rest, if he's going to stink the place out and bore us silly from now until the end of the season, I'm afraid we're going to have to accept it because that's the necessary evil. That's what we've got. That's who we've hired. And I do not blame Moyes one iota for taking a job because no one else would offer him one. I do 100% blame the owners for us being in this situation, for the lack of imagination in an appointment. And I am absolutely 100% prepared to accept that David Moyes may dislike David Sullivan as much as I do. Seriously.
The thing with Moyes is he's got that stick. He could say, hang on a minute, when I left you spent £150 million. That should be my £150 million to spend. I've not had it, so I need money in January. I think you're right there. He's got an opportunity though. Moyes has got an opportunity to come in and sell anyone. Essentially, he can come in and sell whoever the hell he wants, and he doesn't really have anyone to answer to. He could sell Diop, 50 million from Spurs. I'll take that, thank you. And I don't think anyone can really have any complaints because he's going to have to raise a bit of cash. Yep. He's going to have to raise some. I think there's some to spend, but managers want to make wholesale changes when they come in, really. And to do that, you need big cash. I don't think we've got that. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Diop, he looks at and thinks, you know what, I can put Rice in there, sort it, £50 million to spend in the middle of the park. I'll have a little bit of that. But it's more of an opportunity to come in and look at Yarmolenko in the eye and say, I ain't ever going to use you, mate. Sullivan, get whatever you can of this guy. 8 million, just take it. Get him out of the club. He might come in and say, get Diangana back from West Brom. It was Pellegrini that said Diangana ain't coming back. David Moyes might very well come back and say, you know what, that's the first thing I'm doing, I'm taking him back. Josh Cullen, how's he doing? I'm taking him back as well. That's my 2 players I'm going to stick in there, and I'm going to rip up Carlos Sanchez's contract, going to get Yarmolenko out the door. He might just look at Zabaleta and say, Ben Johnson's here, you out. Anyone that can take him for free, out you go. He's got an opportunity to be ruthless in January, I think. Bar Declan Rice and Fabianski, I think he could sell anyone and get away with it. I struggle to think of another player off the top of my head that he would sell. I would think, hang on a minute. While I wouldn't be overly happy with the likes of Diop or Sebastian Aller leaving, I could quite understand that David Moyes has been watching us for the last month or so, like you suggest, and looking at Sebastian Aller going, I ain't getting a tune out of this. I don't want him there. He's not my Marko Natovic. I need him out. Felipe Anderson could be another one he's looking at, thinking that attitude. I've seen him bottling 50-50 tackles this last month. First thing I'm going to do is test him on the training. I'm going to put Stuart Pearce on him in training, and if he doesn't like it, he's getting sold as well. It really does surprise me. It really surprised me. Like you said, he's had a month to do homework, and players' performances in the last month or so might damn well fine come back to bite them in the arse a little bit. He might come in and know exactly what they've been doing. Yes?
The backroom team is a great point. I do not be surprised if actually a lot of the backroom team do what I actually said, which is basically look Sullivan in the eye and say, we are not coming back to work for you because of what happened last time. He didn't just let David Moyes down. He let the backroom team down. I would not be surprised to see... what was there? 4 of them, were they? Chris Woods, Stuart Pearce, Irvine. Was it Irvine?
McKinley.
McKinley. I wouldn't be surprised if they see 2 of those.
One of them's got a job.
Right, okay.
One of them's already in work. I think Pearce is supposedly coming in. I think Irvine's the other one.
Oh, really? You hear Pearce is coming in?
Pearce and Irvine are coming with him, apparently. The thing is with Irvine is he was interviewed for the Hearts manager's job up here not long ago. So his sort of... It's funny, really, because after they left, Moyes just had nothing, but the rest of them have all had pretty good offers in standing and football, so they've all enhanced their reputation by coming to West Ham for 6 months. So I can see why they'd come back. And they're loyal to their manager. They're working for Moyes, not Sullivan, aren't they?
So how's Sullivan? I mean, this is something to explore. How is Sullivan feeling about this? Did you do your little analogy the other day? I didn't watch your video from last night. No. Did you do your analogy?
No,
you didn't.
You
didn't do your Tinder one.
No, you can take it. It's okay. On you go.
Myself and Geo was speaking the other day, and Geo says it's a bit like telling your girlfriend that you don't want to be with her anymore. You're going to go on to pastures now. You're going to go and find a new, better model. And you go on to Tinder and you swipe and you're meeting all these people and basically nobody wants you. None of these other girls want you. And you go back to your girlfriend and say, oh, actually, love, do you mind if we sort of get back together?
It's very similar.
And I just wonder, I guess to be as successful as David Sullivan is, I guess you've got to have something about you. I guess you're going to have to almost have a very thick skin and not care what people think. Surely you must do. But
I think he's shown that already. He doesn't
okay. But he's still. You still. I can imagine. Can you imagine David Moyes? David Sullivan.
I don't think he's saved as that.
No, probably not. Just left it there. Or let it ring. I bet he let that ring a few times. Boop. I'm sorry, David Moyes isn't around at the moment. If you could like to leave a message, I bet there was all. I just bet it was a really awkward thing for Sullivan to do, and I don't give him any praise for that. It's a situation of his own making. Maybe he has just got really thick skin and he doesn't care. But what an awkward situation to put yourself, to put everybody else in. We are a laughing stock of a club at the moment. You cannot show me a worse run Premier League club than us. Not at the moment. You might go back to Cardiff City under that Vincent Tan when he's changing the shirts, he's trying to change the logo. I mean, he was a preposterous owner of a football club. But these are, I don't even the most fervent board supporters, you cannot tell me that these people are doing well in anything that they've done. Almost everything they touch turns to poo. Basically, the kids are outside the door.
We'll start wrapping this up. Before I get your final words, do you know what's funny?
Go on.
He's not even got the job yet. It's,
Yeah.
but for you tuning in, it's what were we saying? 95% about. Are you?
Hold on. Rafa Benitez appointed West Ham manager. It's just coming across.
It's 95% done. I would say 18-month deal for David Moyes coming in. I think it's just the dot the I's and cross the T's kind of thing. I think the hold up, and ever so slight hold up, was I think Moyes is trying to get into a 2.5-year deal, and I think Sullivan's probably trying to get a 6-month one. They've decided to meet in the middle, get it done, and get someone in. Because we've got Bournemouth on Wednesday. It's not long till our next game. But the thing is, if Moyes wins that one, I'll tell you something. That's the perfect fixture to start with. Bournemouth are awful. I think if Pellegrini was a manager, do you know this is mad? I'd still predict us to beat Bournemouth even Pellegrini's manager, because I watched them the other day. Whoever they were playing, Brighton, they were just. Oh, there was nothing about them whatsoever. This is perfect for Moyes. If Moyes comes in, gets us ready, and we do not concede on Wednesday. Well, I say don't concede. Well, of course we won't lose. But the thing is, if we set up the Moyes way, which is 5 at the back and whatnot, safety first, I think we'll win. I think we'll win comfortably. Not scoreline. It's not going to be 4-0. I think it'll be 1-0 or 2-0. But I think it'll be a comfortable 2-0 victory. I think Fabianski will have his easiest game of the season so far. Not hard, considering he's missed half of it. But I do think that it's the perfect thing for Moyes. The only thing I will say to Moyes is, please, Gillingham away, just learn from your mistakes, which was the cup. I think if Moyes had took the cup seriously, I thought a lot more people would have been happy to see him remain. But because he threw both of them, I am one of them. You're one of them as well. We both sort of see no, if you're going to dismiss the cups, we're going to dismiss you a little bit. So you need to, if you take Gillingham away seriously, I know we're in a relegation battle, but if you take the cup seriously, it will buy you some leeway, the fans. That's the only thing I can say. Can I get your final words, please, and we'll wrap this up?
Oh, that's a great one. I'll just go over what you said there. That will get the fans on side. We do not say we do not. I can only speak for myself. I can't the voice of the fans. I might be goodness sake, but I think I certainly don't believe that Moyes is David Sullivan's puppet. I think it's a very awkward arrangement between two people. I really firmly believe that, and it would be. When I say on side, I don't mean. I think he's going to struggle to get the fans to love his brand of football, but actually, if you can get a cup run going, then you will bring some of the fans over to your way of thinking. And I'll tell you what he did, just surviving, was not enough. It wasn't enough before, even with the 13th, it wasn't enough to cement his reputation with the fans, and it clearly wasn't enough to become attractive to other clubs to want to employ him. It was enough to get his bonus and all the rest of it. You may well find that if he does take the cup seriously, he may well find he gets a much bigger attachment with the fans, and he may well find that he does actually become more popular to other clubs. And if he can do that, if he can get us to mid-table, get us to semi-final in a cup or something like that, you may well find, and he can bring in an exciting signing, regardless whether he's shuffling the pack or he's given some money. Exciting signing. It's got three things. If he comes in, if he does that, it gives us a bit of identity back, and makes the second. Exciting's tough, isn't it? It's a tough ask for him. I think. But if do you know what? If we could just go into every game without being totally depressed, which seems to be the case at the moment, he might actually. He might be able to do something.
Just a bit of hope. If we can go into games with a bit of hope. You know, I'm fed up sitting on PU predicting how much we're going to get beat by, but that's been the theme. That has been the theme. And when we predict when we get beat, I mean, how does that work? but that's what's been like for quite a while now. So we could go into some games with a little bit of hope and make teams fear West Ham a little bit. You always say, give other teams something to think about. We've not done that for a while now, so at least if we've got Moyes coming in, at least Eddie Howe's thinking, what are they going to do on Wednesday? If we can keep that going for the rest of the season. I don't expect excitement anymore, but that's out the window. That's not Moyes' fault. That's Pellegrini's fault. Out the window now. It's now about getting the results. It's a results-based business. Get the results, then we can worry about maybe getting prettier football next season and stuff like that. It's already now about getting ready for August, essentially. That's what it is now. We're already now ready to plan for August. The only thing I hope is they don't plan for relegation, because last time Moyes was here, It smelt like they were preparing for relegation. They sold Jody Font, and I think they sold Andre Ayew as well. And they only brought in Hugo and Patrice Evra. How bad was that? Played 3 games and was conceded 4 goals in all 3 of them or something. But the board got ready for relegation. I just hope that come the end of January, they've got to hold their nerve, even if we are in the bottom 3, because of how tight the Premier League is. They've got to hold their nerve. No selling Felipe Anderson, no undermining David Moyes. Support David Moyes, back him, or sack him. You can't sack him. You just got to back him, okay? Or don't appoint him in the first place. If you're not going to back him in the transfer window, don't get him in. He's clearly not the right man. I think this appointment, which I am very confident is going to happen, I would call it a comfortable compromise between two desperate parties, if you like. And it's sort of, how can I... They're in it for themselves. Sullivan's not in it to help David Moyes out of that, and Moyes isn't in it to help West Ham. Moyes is in it to get his balance boosted and enhance his reputation. That's fine.
Yeah.
David Sullivan's in it not because he wants Moyes, he just wants to stay up. He wants to finish 17th. That's also fine. It's a comfortable compromise, and it could become a very uncomfortable compromise if things don't go well. And the thing is, we need results immediately from Moyes and from David Sullivan in the January transfer window. 3 days till January. We need results from Moyes, and we need results from David Sullivan. Otherwise, when we do a cup of tea at the end of January, it's not going to be a very bloody good one. Anyway, anything else you'd like to add before we disappear?
No, not at all. We've got lots of stuff coming up, so if anything else comes up, we'll have opportunities to talk about it.
We may have a video tomorrow. You might be able to guess what it is. We might have a video tomorrow, but tomorrow night we will have a video tomorrow night, which is the Bournemouth preview. That'll be interesting because we're trying to predict how we're going to line up for that one. That could be tricky. But thank you for joining us in this video. Drop a like on it if you've enjoyed it, but also leave your comments below about what you think about the appointment of David Moyes and stuff, because I want to do a show with Gonzo between. It might have to be after Bournemouth, it might be before Bournemouth, I don't know. I'd like to do a show where we look at your comments. We're going to do a Talk West Ham as well. We've got a few people that want to ring in. I was going to do it tonight, but wasn't 100% sure Pellegrini's going to be sacked, and we have to move with the news, unfortunately. Sometimes our videos are guided by the news and the rumours and stuff like that. So we will do a Talk West Ham very, very soon, and during the callers we will be looking at your comments about David Moyes in this video, so get them down below. That's been Gonzo, I've been Geo, been Hamish chatting. Tomorrow that'll be David Moyes. Catch you in a bit.